Hey YouTube, Ryan here, Ryhno 411 Racing with another video. It's one that I'm really excited to share with you guys as usual. And it's one that I've wanted to do for a really long time. And the timing just seemed perfect for it because I'm so happy to say that riding season is almost upon us. Track season is coming. It's coming fast. So as we're all kind of preparing to go out for the track season, the racing season, we have all those standard items that we'll bring with us to the track, right? You might have a canopy, table, chairs, tools, motorcycle, stands, tire warmers, some food, coolers, things like that. Not gonna be talking about any of that standard stuff. What I'm gonna be talking about are some kind of everyday items that I found that just really make life at the track a little bit easier, more convenient, and in the end, just more fun because it's less to have to think about and it just makes your overall setup better, in my opinion. So my goal of this video is to just share some of those items with you that I found over the years. And if you find value in it, that's really my end goal. So hopefully something I've gone through, either you like that item or it kind of makes you think of something else that you could do. I will have links in the description below to those items or similar items, because as I was doing my research in preparation for this video, I did notice some of them aren't available anymore because I've had them for so long. But I found some similar items, so I'll have that link below. I'm not paid by any of these companies or anything, so it's just stuff that I found that I've used throughout the years that have made things easy for me. Some of it has been stuff that I've found. Some of it has been stuff that friends at the track have shown me that I've adapted and used. So not all this is my genius ideas, and I'm sure a lot of you probably have even better ideas because, like I said, I'm just one guy. I don't know everything. It's just a lot of the stuff that I've found that have made things easy for me. And I'd love to hear in the comments if any of you have any ideas and tips and tricks of some things that you guys use, because knowledge sharing is always good. So I'd love to hear some of your ideas because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I haven't thought of. And again, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments, shoot me a message. Okay, real quick note on the links. I do have them in the description below, like I said. Those are Amazon affiliate links, so I will receive a small commission if you use those links. Will not cost you anything extra. I just wanted to let you know that. It does help support the channel, and I do really appreciate it. So let's get back to the video. So as you can see, I've got my canopy popped up behind me to go over one of the first items. I'm still kind of fine-tuning it because I haven't found the perfect setup yet. And again, maybe someone out there has the perfect item. But what you can see here is, so I've got this net up, and when I originally saw it, it looked kind of like those cargo nets that you get in like the back of your car that you'd see. And I saw people would set stuff up there, and I thought it was a good idea to kind of keep things out of the way and make more use of all this empty space up here under the canopy. And this one that I'm using currently, because I've tried a couple different ones, I'm still not sold on this one yet. I'm still trying to adapt and figure out what would be the best thing. But this is just kind of give you an idea of something that you could try. And this in particular it's like a storage hanger hammock for like kids' toys, like you'd see it in someone's room. But as you can see, I kind of adapted it to work under my canopy. So what I use now, just to kind of set things up to show you guys, is I just use some zip ties on the corners. And then I use some gear ties here, which I'm actually going to talk about in a bit. But the premise behind it is, you can take some stuff and set it up here. The reason why I say I haven't completely fine-tuned it yet is if I don't have this extra one here, it kind of sits a little bit low. And it kind of gets in the way. If I don't have the canopy popped all the way to its highest settings, if you're a little taller, it can kind of get in the way, depending on how heavy the item is that you've got in here. But I'll throw snacks up here. I might throw my gloves up here, something that's not completely heavy, like something really heavy. Like I'm obviously not going to throw like a stand up here or something, but I've thrown tire warmer bags up here before and stuff like that. But it's just little things to kind of do to kind of help, like I said, make your day a little bit easier, get things out of the way, and make use of all this empty space. So one of the next items, for those of you that run a generator and tire warmers and everything, this my buddy Ike actually came up with, and I started seeing these around the paddock now. We all kind of use this or some variation of this. Is those situations where, you know, you're at the track, got your generator running, or even you could even use this if you're using track power, because, you know, there are times in certain tracks where the track power will go out. And all this is right here is it's just a refrigerator alarm. So super simple. What I do is I just plug it into my generator, and then it's got 3 buttons on it. So it's got, I don't know if you can see that there, so it's got like an armed, and then there's actually a built-in light, and then off. So the way it works is, I can go over to a plug here. Just take out one of these plugs. So imagine this is my generator. You know, I've got this plugged in. You can see the light will light up. So then if I switch to armed, so I've got it up in the armed position now. It's armed, it's on. So then if this is my generator and I'm in my pit, and then I don't realize that my generator runs out of gas, and then if that happens, then your tire warmers can turn off, and then it can be bad, because then your tires obviously aren't getting hot. This will beep. The track power goes out. This will start beeping. And it has come in handy more than once. And I usually keep my generator, you know, a normal distance away. I've got an inverter generator that I'll set back, you know, 25, 30 feet, and I can hear this when it goes off. And like I said, my buddy Ike will have his set up, so when we hear it go off, we know it was one of our generators. So at least it alerts us and everybody around that something's up, something that we need to take a look at and make sure we check out. And that way, again, we're not sitting there in our pits thinking our tire warmers are running, and they're actually not. So that's coming really handy. I highly recommend something like that. Super simple, just cheap security, cheap insurance for your generator or your power. Okay, so speaking of tire warmers, next thing I'm going to talk about is like a power switch for your tire warmers, because one of those other things that I know has happened in the past to people, fortunately it's never happened to me, but you'll forget to switch your tire warmers off when you roll out, and then they'll stay on and they'll fry themselves, they'll burn, and they'll burn up or something worse. So one thing that I started using was just something simple like this. It's just a simple plug-in switch. So I'll plug that into my power cord, and then it's got these on-off switches here, and then I'll run one of these to each of the tire warmers. And then what I'll do is kind of an extra reminder is, if I have my cord set up right, I'll actually kind of hang this on the clip-ons on my bike. So then I can't ever forget, okay, I need to switch these off, because I can't obviously roll out of the pits with this hanging on there. So that's another thing I started using there. A lot of variations. This is the one I found that I like the most, because where I have my power cords usually set up, I wanted a little bit extra cordage. So that's why I have that set up that way. And then moving on to this, and I know we all have different setups that we use for outlets. I've seen people run, you know, the normal surge protector, straight strips, kind of like this one, but I would always kind of trip over them, especially if this was sitting flat and then the outlets are sticking up. You know, a lot of times I'd run into them, and I wanted something that was a little bit more sleek, so to speak. So I got one of these, and I believe this exact one isn't for sale anymore. At least I couldn't find it when I was looking around online easily, but I did find some similar ones. So I'll have that link below, like I said, but I'll plug this into my cord that's running off my generator, and then I will have, you know, this will spring out, so I'll have, you know, one going to this for my tire warmers, and then fans and anything else that I've got running. But some little simple stuff like that has really made things a little bit easier for me in the pits. And then actually moving on to this, stick with this electrical theme. So the way I usually have my pit set up is I'll have this set up on rider's right, and then I'll have my bike will basically be here. So I will have this cord sitting basically down here, and then, you know, obviously running off of here to split out for the 2 tire warmers. And then what I'll also do is I'll have this mounted up underneath my table. which is going to be a segue into a couple other things that I'll use. You can see here, because what I'll do is I'll just stick that up there, and then I'll run that back. But again, simple little strip like that. I know that's something we all use, but that's why I have that. But that's not really the main thing I was talking about, or that I'm referring to with this. I guess the main thing I can say about this is the fact that I did include a couple spots for USB for charging my GoPros or my phone, so I did want to have that. And I wanted to have it somewhere recessed and up out of the way, because I didn't really like something like that sitting on the ground, especially if it starts raining. Even though I'm under a canopy and everything, the water it'll still get wet. So I like to have that up and out of the way. And that way you have less chance if this is sitting up here and I've got my phone sitting up here, there's less chance that I'm gonna bump this and pull my phone down. Whereas if it's down here, there's more chance I might grab it and trip on it. And I've seen people do that. And I just trying to avoid as much clutter on the ground as I could. But a couple other things that I want to get to that this is a good segue for is one item that I use for a lot of little things at the track is this, which is just simple hook and loop fasteners. So I just got a big roll of it off Amazon, and then I can cut it to size. So I've got, obviously both sides of the hook and loop here that I'll use. And that comes in really handy. Like I said, I use that obviously on the outlet. I've used it to help secure like my GoPro or aim or things like that on the bike, just as a backup. I won't use that as a primary, but I'll use it for things like that. I've seen people do it where they'll stick a piece on like a tire gauge, and then they can stick that on their toolbox or on your table or something. So lots of uses for that. Use that for a lot of different things. So that comes in really handy. And then the last thing about the table and electrical stuff that I wanted to talk about is this right here. So I got this idea from a buddy of mine named John Champ up in, he races up with CRA. And I've been trying to find something like this, and he gave me the info on the actual fan model that he used. So then I ordered it, and then I mounted it. So all I did, and all this is, it's just a computer fan, cooling fan. And I made sure it was one that takes like AC versus like USB, but you could obviously get an adapter for that. So all I did is I just cut out a square that was the right size for it, and then just mounted it up. And part of the reason I did that is I used to set my helmet on an actual fan, but there was a couple times where I would accidentally bump it in the table and it would just knock the helmet off the fan. And one time it even rolled off the table and landed on the ground, and I've seen that happen to other people as well. And so I wanted something that was gonna be flush with the table, that I couldn't knock it into the helmet, it's gonna fall, right? So this is nice and flush, it's nice and recessed. And the good thing is with this particular table, I can't say that for sure with every table, but for this one, in any case, I can still fold this and close it and there's no issues. I just have to make sure that the cord is kind of rolled up in here so it doesn't get pinched on the table on the ends when I go to close it. But that's come in really handy. I can just come in off the track and I don't have to really think about where I put my helmet. I just set it right here, boom, good to go. Next item, I'll touch on really quick. Especially until I got my truck and trailer more recently, I was trying to make use of every little bit of space I could. So instead of getting a traditional oil drain pan, I got one of these, which I believe this is just like a camping wash basin. And let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. That's popped open. They make them different sizes. They can tell you how much they can hold. So I just got this one to make sure it would hold enough for my last bike, my SV. So again, I've used that a few times. It's nice and collapsible, so it saves space. So any little thing like that to save space is good. Obviously, if you have a ton of room and you don't really care and it's not a big deal, then by all means, you can obviously get a normal one. But when we were using a small SUV and then a little Harbor Freight special trailer, trying to make the most of space as best we can was kind of a necessity. So a couple more things I wanted to show you guys is, one is this right here. And what this is, it's just and I still have the label on it. And As you can see, it's so it says it's a flex and go satchel, but I found this it's basically in the tackle box section for hunting and fishing. And I would use this to keep a lot of my spares because it was an easy way to keep things separated. Now I've taken a lot of them out because I'm redoing my setup because I've got a different bike now. But I would keep like clip-on bars here and control items, so like shift rods, and then I could keep bolts and fasteners here, hose clamps, stuff like that. And then the thing I liked about this one is it's got these two other compartments that I can actually just undo, and then I would keep different things in there. And you can see I've had stuff marked, so I had frame slider bolts, M10 by 125s, just easy little things like that to get to, which is nice because, you know, if you're in kind of a rush, you need to get some spares, you know, maybe you have a crash in between races or a mechanical or something and you want to get back out, you have it labeled, you know where stuff is. So I would know I've got this on this side, this here, and then obviously everything on the other side. So, and I've seen a multitude of ways people have come up with for storage options. I just thought that was kind of neat, how it's all compartmentalized and it made it easy to find stuff. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is kind of like the hook and loop, but it's something that has a lot of different uses, and that is something I mentioned before at the beginning with the netting was gear ties. So for those of you that happen to know what gear ties are, I'm sure most of you do. And you know, this one's obviously very dirty and used because I use them a lot. So it's, you know, just a bendable, plastic coated, has a lot of different uses. I've used it, you know, I'll use it on my toolbox to maybe hold up some tape. And as you saw before, like on the net, I had it holding part of the net back here. So you can use it to secure stuff like that. But the most common use I would say I use my gear ties for is stuff like this for my stands. So my front stand, I would always get annoyed because you take this off and this would always fall down. So what I do now all the time is I'll keep one of these looped on here, and then when I'm done, all I'll do is, you know, say I'm done with the stand, and then I'll just obviously take this here and wrap that up, and then you're good to go. Again, super simple, a lot of different uses, but comes in handy. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of you have some even more innovative ways to use stuff like that, but those are the kind of things I use them for, and all this other stuff. Got preseason testing coming up here soon. We're going down to Barber for the first time, so I'm really excited about that. I'll have my first full track day preseason session, and a weekend. I'll be riding for a couple days on the R6, so I'm really excited for that. Hoping I can get adapted to it and get feeling comfortable on it like I did when I had a brief stint on it at the end of last season. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I will have a video update once that's all done, and then we'll be moving on to the actual race season, so it's coming up fast. Like all YouTubers, I'm going to say, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, all the usual YouTube stuff. But I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, if you have any ideas, thoughts, questions, love providing this content and, you know, being helpful in any way I can to you guys and gals. So just let me know. Like I said, love to get in touch. Love to hear what you guys think. And that's all for now. Thanks.